Hey folks, Craig from the Vinyl Record Player. Hey, we're doing a little bit of a linking of 20 records. So I'm going to link each record in a chain, come around, talk about each of these records, fun records, classic records. You know I got them here on the Vinyl Record Player, so please, buckle up. And we're back. Actually got this idea a little bit from my friend Harris Pilton, aka the Piltonator. And basically, we're giving people. Okay, we're part of the VC. We love the community. We're here to help. Apparently, there's a little channel called Noble Records. Guys having a little trouble getting subscribers. It's kind of new to the game. And you know what? Hey, I don't have a ton of subscribers myself, but I'm here to help. I'm here to help. And when my man, the Piltonator, sounds a bat signal to help a gentleman in the VC, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be there to help. So let's go ahead and do this. We'll do the linking 20 records. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about 20 records, and each record has a link to the last, sometimes tenuous. I'm not saying that it's completely untenuous. But hey, I'm gonna do what I can, and then I'm gonna link that back record all the way back to the front. So it's not gonna be the shortest video, but you know what? I'm gonna bet any money we're gonna have some fun. Let's start out with. Doesn't it always start and end with the Byrds? Doesn't it? Doesn't? Not really. It depends on what you're into, but I don't think there's much going wrong with Mr. Tambourine Man by the Byrds. I'm not sure this may in fact be their debut. Again, I didn't do a ton of research because I own this record. It's a great record. And yeah, really kind of probably, I would imagine, probably one of their biggest selling albums. Obviously, we know Mr. Tambourine Man, classic. But then I'll Feel a Whole Lot Better. Gene Clark writing on this one. This is back during the David Crosby era. Really classic record. This one, I don't know what this is priced at these days, really. I probably got this one for about $5 back in the days. I don't even have this guy. Oh, I do have this guy protected in a little plastic. Anyway, good record. The Byrds, how are we going to link it? Oh, what's the link? Chris Hillman. Remember the Byrds? Oh, Flying Burrito Brothers. This is, they're self-titled. This is post-Graham Parsons, country rock. I think it's, personally, I know I might get some flack, but I personally think this is the best Burrito Brothers album. It's got Rick Roberts, who is no Graham Parsons, but then again, Graham Parsons is no Rick Roberts. I like Rick Roberts, frankly. This one's got 4 Days of Rain, Can't You Hear Me Calling? Woo, that's a rocker. Hand to Mouth. Really, quite a few, actually, with Chris Hillman. Writing with Rick Roberts. And actually, I think this would be their last LP as the Flying Burrito Brothers. The Flying Burrito Brothers are kind of funny because they got back together and released records that basically no one bought. And they did a lot of covers, a little bit like the New Riders of the Purple Sage. But in this era, they were still very much a serious band. Obviously, right here, Sneaky Pete Kleinow. What a player. Bernie Ledden, who later on would move on to the Eagles. I think this also was was this Michael Kelly? Again, I'm not 100%, but again, this is a really good record. How am I gonna link that up? Oh, how about this Rick Roberts LP? His debut, Windmills. I've said this before on the A&M label. I've said this before that, two real big classics on this album for me. One is called Glad to Be Going. Very, very good. I think it's got Rusty Young from Poco playing a little bit of I'm not even thinking of the instrument. It'll come back. But also, more importantly, In My Own Small Way. That is really just a heartbreaker, a real crusher, but a great, great song. And you know what? Rusty Young on Glad to Be Going playing a little bit of dobro, and actually really well. This is not the best cover-to-cover album, but there are some great highlights on this one. And yeah, this one basically had like all the Eagles playing on it, plus obviously classic steel player. That would be Al Perkins. And Al Perkins, of course, would link us to our next record. Let's talk about Manassas. Woo, woo. Stephen Stills, I don't want to say it's his best moment, but I think I just did. And you know what? It's not too far from it. This is a double LP. Very, very cool package. Not all of it is great. I would probably give the big up to the second side entitled The Wilderness on this one. But you know what? You do have a lot of cool stuff. Side 4, Rock and Roll is Here to Stay, is also very good. There's a lot of stuff on this. There's rock, there's country, there's bluegrass. It's a really good album, actually. I kind of burned myself out on it a little bit. I was playing it a lot back in the day when I first got it. Got really into Stephen Stills. Fell out of love with Stephen Stills. These things happen. But again, still think he's a fantastic player. And the band here is just absolutely stunning. Absolutely. Unfortunately, they only did like this album and one more album, which is, and then there's an album called Pieces. Just a bunch of sort of like tracks and extras and even a song with the Bonnie Raitt, believe it or not. But this is their key, and this is always worth a buy. On the fourth side, Rock and Roll is Here to Stay. A little bit of a song called Blues Man, which is a tribute to Jimi Hendrix, Al Wilson, and of course Duane Allman, which is where we go next. Duane Allman, an anthology. Shown this one before. Man, I still got to dig back into this one. It's a double record. It's got, some of his Allman's work, but really intriguingly and more importantly, in my opinion, a lot of great soul stuff, including, of course, The Weight, which I think he did that with Aretha Franklin. I'm not 100% sure. Let's see. He does a B.B. King medley, and of course, our next link. He does Hey Jude by Wilson Pickett. Classic, the wicked one. And that's where we go next. How about in Philadelphia? I believe this is from 1970. This is kind of one of Wilson's really last stellar cover-to-cover record. Key track on this one, of course, is Bumblebee. Woo! Come on and sting me. Indeed, it's really a stunning record. Produced by Gamble and Huff. Wilson's career is a little waning by this point. The glory days of Mustang Sally and In the Midnight Hour are dissipating, but Wilson's still very good. Still very decent records throughout the 70s, even on the RCA label, where, again, I'm sure he got absolutely no promotion. As I've said before, and you may have seen in my John Flores interview, RCA, black artist, not a lot of payroll in the budget. So anyway, Wilson Pickett, this is a great record. This is definitely worth buying. Of course, Gamble and Huff. You know I'm going to bring Big Jerry into the mix. If I get the opportunity, you know I'm going to bring in Big Jerry. Hashtag Big Jerry. Jerry Butler, the Iceman. This is Ice on Ice. This is post his real kind of big late 60s breakthrough, which of course is The Iceman Cometh. I'm still looking for that LP. That's not an easy one to find in decent condition. For cheap, which is what I'm looking for always. But it's a great record. This one's kind of the secondary tracks from the session. You got Moody Woman, Brand New Me, Close to You Love. It's a good album. It's not his best, but again, it's a nice follow-up to The Iceman Cometh, which is, in terms of his late 60s work, is absolutely fantastic. Obviously, then we could also go back. You wouldn't call this his main breakthrough. His main breakthrough would have been with a little band called The Impressions, who also featured a little gentleman named Curtis Mayfield. And I don't want to say little gentleman because I'm sure he was of average to good height. No problem with the size of Curtis. And no problem with a yellow suit either. Woo! That is good. It's on the Curtum label. I don't know what to say about Curtis Mayfield except legend all the way through. I think really, I've never been the hugest fan of early 60s soul. I really feel like around 65, 64, things start to really form up and soul music just becomes this exciting, huge music that would continue to grow and become something fantastic and giant even up until the 80s. But Curtis Mayfield, huge part of that with the impressions early on. And then this, I believe this is probably just his debut LP on his own Curtum label. If you see this or any of his stuff in the wild, I've been told by some of my friends in the VC that, yeah, you can go up to 1980, maybe in the mid-80s with Curtis. Still a funky choice. Curtis from 1970. Who produced this? Oh, it's Claudine again, I know. This one's been on the channel lately. It's been on the channel. Great record. Interesting. I'm going to see this movie too. It is actually available on YouTube, believe it or not. Claudine. Of course, this whole record was produced by Curtis, and it's just basically all on the Buddha label. It is all Gladys and her fabulous pips. Again, I love this record. It really couldn't be much better. Well, it could, But frankly, again, and I've said this a million times too, Gladys Knight and the Pips, pick a record, Go from 67 to like 78, and it's probably great. Definitely 75 might be a cutoff point, but this is probably 74. Really good one. Interesting thing about our friend Gladys Knight and the Pips, really didn't super break out until she left Motown Records, which is very similar to my next record. I'm talking about the Isley Brothers. The Isley Brothers, they had a couple of hits. I think it wasn't Put a Look. The hit is Not Coming to Me, but they did not really get as much, promotion as your main Motown acts, like your Temptations and your Four Tops, etc. So basically, you know what happens is, hey, they're the Isley Brothers. They're popular. They're gonna move on, and they did. And they actually opened up their own label entitled the T-Neck label. That basically links this record. What's on this record? You might ask. You might want the Eyes is Live. By the way, excellent double LP. Woo! They are ripping all over this album. Just a great fun live record. One of the classics on this one is "Love the One You're With" by the Isleys. Oh, and you know what? It's on this one too. I've said this before. I think this is the best live album ever released. Controversy alert. I'm not trying to say it. I don't think it's a controversy at all. Listen to this album. Tell me it's not. Tell me why it's not. I don't think you could. Maybe you could. But anyway, Love the One You're With. I love both versions, but Aretha and I think we got King Curtis on saxophone, Bernard Purdie on drums, Billy Preston on keyboards, Ray Charles makes an appearance on this LP as well. It's really hard to lose with this one. This is my favorite live album of all time. I think Aretha is just in stellar voice. Recorded obviously at Fillmore West. Great room. And yeah, you know what's on this jam? A little bit of Bridge Over Troubled Water. Yeah, and I know what you're thinking. Who wrote Bridge Over Troubled Water? How about Paul Simon? Yes, he did. Anyway, this one I picked up not too long ago. Here comes Ryman Simon. I don't know this record incredibly, but had a pretty good condition. Nice little gatefold. Obviously, the hit off of this one was Kodachrome, but a good record. I think this might be his second LP. So we're talking about 72, 73 on the CBS label. You know what? This surprised me. I was looking for a link. I'm looking for a link, looking to make that 20. So what do? Where's this recorded? How about the Muscle Shoals Studios? I think it's a Fame, or maybe those are different suits. Anyway, Muscle Shoals. That rhythm section responsible for so many fantastic records, including this one. But you know what else was recorded at the Muscle Shoals Sound Studio? Communication. Bobby Womack. This is probably, I think I have about 3 Bobby Womack LPs. Each of them are good. I'm not a complete whatever Bobby does, I'm a buy-in type of guy. I think he definitely has his weak spots in terms of his albums. Obviously, he had a lot of issues with drugs and with the drink in the 80s, and I think as a result, a lot of his material from that era, it's not maybe the best stuff you've ever heard. But this early 70s period and late 60s period, kind of when he's putting his debut records together, obviously he was in a band called the Womacs with several of his family members. At any rate, this is a really good record, along with, there's a couple other from this period that are very good. And then, of course, the Across 110th Street soundtrack, which is, title track on that one is a stunner. At any rate, Bobby Womack, who he had a little bit of problems because basically for about a while there he was kind of a little bit blackballed from the industry because post Sam Cooke passing, I think he ended up marrying Sam Cooke's widow. I don't know why people were angry about that. I mean, a woman needs love. Does a woman not need love? Maybe she needs love. Maybe Womack's there to provide. Maybe. It's a lot of maybes. But anyway, let's talk about Sam Cooke. I don't even know what you say about Sam Cooke, except this is a great starter. Look at that. Nice gatefold too. Beautiful man. Obviously, stunning voice. Really a soul originator. I feel like almost everything comes from Sam Cooke in terms of soul. I mean, you got Ray Charles would be in that bag as well. But the man and his music. This is a great compilation. It's a double album. But even if you can get that yellow. There's like a yellow greatest hits LP, also very good, but this one is very good. You get enough of a taste, and the fact is that again, almost everything, rock and roll would not be the same without Sam Cooke, and of course Sam Cooke's manager, J.W. Alexander, and of course who would J.W. Alexander later manage? Oh, that's right. Snuck him in. I snuck in my man, Willie Hutch. Of course, I'm going to do that. That's what I do. Soul Portrait, Willie Hutch, 1969. Said it before, I'll say it again. I'm going to say top 3 soul album of the entire 1960s. Yep, I said it. I don't care. You think it's a problem? Leave it in the comments. Let me know. Let me know why that's a problem. Not a problem. Listen to this album and tell me it isn't. In fact, I might even go top 2. Woo, top 2 alert on Willie Hutch's Soul Portrait, produced by John Flores. Wow. I don't know what to say about this album except it barely registered. Nobody bought this. It was very, very much a limited record. Not as limited as this cat, I'll tell you. Don't like that cat. Don't mind that cat. He's got problems. Believe me. Willie Hutch, Soul Portrait, 1969. Very much a classic. And Willie Hutch, super talented dude, arranger, producer, etc., etc. A couple of tracks produced by Willie Hutch on G.C. Cameron's Love Songs and Other Tragedies. This is another one that I like to dig up. I love this record. I love G.C. He's super underrated. Kind of his biggest sort of hit, even though he didn't write it, but it was later produced to amazing effect and huge hit by Boys II Men, was of course It's So Hard to Say Goodbye to Yesterday. Not on this LP, but this LP is a fantastic one. Basically, Motown did what they could in terms of at least the production. They got Willie Hutch producing, they got Willie Hutch arranging, but you know who they also have arranging and producing and writing? How about Stevie Wonder? Yep, they had Stevie Wonder on the production there. It's a Talking Book. Hey, I'm a fan because I also, if you watch the channel, talk my book. A lot of book talking on this channel, even though I'm talking about records. It's a colloquialism, my foreign friends. So if English isn't your first language, talking your book is. Anyway, let's not even go there. Anyway, this one, of course, has Superstition. What's interesting about Superstition is Jeff Beck, known guitarist, played legendary guitarist, just passed, R.I.P. Jeff. Woo, what a player, what an amazing player. Hey, so we'll whip out this guy. This is his live LP from Japan. Got the Japanese pressing and the cool, I can't read that. I cannot read that at all. But that's okay, that's okay. You don't have to read, you just have to hear. And I will say that Beck Bogert in a piece live, it's a ripper. If you're afraid of what guitars can do, then you want to stay away from this because Jeff Beck is just killing it all over this LP. Really good one. Yeah, and anyway, really his first group. His first group, of course, was the Yardbirds. But another one of his groups was that the Jeff Beck group? Yes, it was the Jeff Beck group, as a matter of fact. As we're coming to a close, we're about to wrap this around, so stick around for the wraparound, babies. Jeff Beck group. I've never been a huge fan of Jeff Beck group. I didn't love the singer, really, of the Jeff Beck group. Either, there's a couple of guys. Really, for me, the Jeff Beck, it's got to be Rod the Mod. It's got to be Rod Stewart, in my opinion, was the absolute, best singer. Obviously, he moved on to be solo, work with the Faces. But I think, this is still a fine record. And, one of the classics on this one, of course, would be Tonight, I'll Be Staying Here With You. Who wrote that, you're thinking? What song is that? How about Bob Dylan? Bob Dylan wrote it for his, I think this is 1968 Nashville Skyline. I was really happy to get this one. This is one of my favorite Bob Dylan albums. Other one, I think it's got to be Blood on the Tracks. Blood on the Tracks. But this is a great one. A lot of people even say that this was the beginning of country rock. I'm not 100% on that, but it's very good. And the funny thing about Bob Dylan is he wrote a lot of songs. He wrote a lot of great songs, wrote a lot of classics. You know what he also wrote? He wrote, that's right, Mr. Tambourine Man. Oh, we did it! 20 records linked, coming back around the wraparound right here to where we started from, my friends. Woo, that was fun. That was actually fun. I was able to do that. I don't have the biggest collection in the world here, but sometimes with the right amount of power, you can do it. Again, I really, if you're actually still watching, first of all, like. Second of all, subscribe. You can have this much fun every week, 2 or 3 times a week, by watching my videos. I know, you're thinking, wow, this has been so much fun. Or maybe it's just me. Either way, you know what? Like I say, this was all to help, again, a really fledgling channel called Noble Records. If you could like and subscribe to him, I know he's been having a tough time breaking the, 85,000 subscriber area. You got to help a brother out. That's the way I've always been. That's sort of, it's really the mission for Craig Danger and the vinyl record player. So at any rate, thanks for tuning in. And hey, I'm going to say that I will see you on the next one.